Thanks for being here. Good morning or good afternoon, I guess it could be for somebody in the East Coast. Thanks for being here. What I wanted to talk about today is a real estate business and how we can do it better. So, excuse me, my name is Bob Mangold. I've been in the real estate lending space for, it actually would be 25 years this year. And at one point, I owned 2 exit realty franchises in the Scottsdale, Arizona market, and found out why they call them real estate brokerages. My monthly overhead was $116,000 a month before I ever opened up or before we ever closed a real estate transaction. And so I have a different perspective on the real estate business now than certainly I did before I did that, right? Everybody's goal is to always own your own company. And then when you actually do that, you find out that, well, it's different than what you thought. In my case, fortunately, I had a mortgage company, which allowed me to make money because the real estate company was not a loser. Even with 188 agents, I barely broke even. So that's my quick background, but I want to talk about how we can do real estate differently because times are changing, right? And the other thing too is to talk about what was the last time you actually had fun doing real estate? When did you actually have fun going around and being with others and working in our business? You know, when we can sit there and show a screen like we just did earlier where, Michelle got 19 leads this weekend, Darcy got 23 leads this weekend on a holiday weekend. When was the last time you could say that you did that? And that's pretty cool. So let's get started. My challenge for today's call is really for everybody to take a look at how we earn money in real estate, right? When it's all said and done, it comes down to money, doesn't it? It's not how much we make, it's how much we keep. And I encourage everybody to read this book called The Cash Flow Quadrant. And in this book, it talks about the 4 ways in which you can earn money. Number 1 is to be an employee and have a job, right? We know what that's like. Almost every one of us have had a job at some point in time. Then we said, hey, I want to work for myself. So I become self-employed. I get into real estate. But at the end of the day, do you own the job? Is it really just a job that you own? And the way that you know that is, can you take and go away for 2 or 3 months and still generate revenue? And the answer for most is no, you can't. And then the third way is to take and be a business owner where you own a system. And so part of what we were talking about earlier, how we generate leads, that's just part of a system that we take and utilize. And then fourth and finally is, can we take and have revenue coming in or money coming in as a real estate agent without actually going out and generating real estate sales? And I know that's where we think our teams come in and our businesses or our ownership of a company comes in, but it's not how it works, right? Pat, you work harder now with a team than you did before, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
And we've done the math. You spend a lot more money now with a team. So we're working on moving Pat from that 3rd quadrant down to the 4th quadrant. So what we're going to talk about today is how we can help you build a real estate business according to those principles, right? So that you have a system that you can walk away from and still be generating business and revenue. And finally, how we can get you to a position where you can be in that investor mode where you have money coming in, whether you're closing a real estate deal or not. So that's really what our goal is today. So in order to do that, we just have to take and go and look at how the real estate business works. We've been working on this model now since 1906, since whatever Caldwell's name was, I don't remember, since he invented this model. And what he did is he simply became a franchiser. He opened an office as a broker and then said, well, what if I franchise this? And then I go out and I hire staff, whether you call them a team leader, a manager, or any of those things. And what happens is, because I have hard costs as the owner, the broker, the franchisee, I constantly have to struggle with the agents who are trying to take and earn more money, so they want to earn better splits, versus I have to take and pay the bills. And then as the franchiser model came in, as realtors, we have to look and understand how much of our income we're actually paying to a franchisor, right? So in many, many companies, especially all the old-fashioned franchise models, you're paying some kind of royalty to the franchisor. So not only is money getting skimmed off the top for the broker, right, or the owner, but it's also going to the franchisor. And this model has existed for a long, long time. Yet inherently it's adversarial, right? It's you as the agent versus the owner. Because I was an owner, I have an entirely different outlook on it. And quite honestly, I can promise you the owner is not making all this money that you think they are. But this is the game that we've had to play. Fortunately, there's a different model that's evolved over the last 6 years, and it really is the future of real estate, where it's a cohesive undertaking because the agents own stock in the company and they share revenue. So now the broker is the shareholder, right? They're also a partner along with the agent who's also a shareholder, because both can participate in owning stock and sharing revenue. Now it's not an us against them. Everybody's on the same page. And so we just need to understand that as time changes, as business shifts, there's a better way to do things, right? Now, there's three main challenges that I find realtors face in earning money. Number one is leads, right? Lead generation. When I go out and travel, talk, do webinars, it's the number one issue that realtors face. Yet there's Pat and I, and I really use Paul more, because Tucson is a much smaller market than Phoenix. Yet this weekend, 23 leads that Darcy's generated, 19 for Michelle. If we knew how to do that, our stress level would be a lot less, right? Number two, having the right systems in place. As we take and talk with realtors everywhere, and I go out and speak and meet with agents, at the end of the day, what happens is everybody says, well, I know this stuff is out there, but I don't know how to put it all together. And then finally is, you got to ask yourself, guys, who's going to help teach you and train you to become a top producing agent? In most of those old-fashioned broker-centric models, it's usually the broker teaching you. Well, at the end of the day, if they were that successful as a realtor, making, say, $1 million a year, why would they ever become the broker? In many cases, maybe their best year is $100,000 a year. Well, those are the people that are going to be teaching you. Well, I promise you, if all I knew how to make was $100,000, that's the best I can teach you. And so we have to look at every phase of what we're doing in real estate and ask ourselves if there's a better way, right? So today we're going to show you why eXp is a solution to every one of those challenges. How do we learn? How do we generate leads? How do we earn? How do we own? And so we're going to walk through each phase of that today. I think we can agree technology is changing everything, right? I don't know. Does anybody even think of taking a cab anymore? We Uber it, right? You don't go to a Blockbuster anymore. You just go to Netflix, right? You guys realize that about 6 years ago, I think it was 6 years ago, Netflix approached Blockbuster about buying them for $1.1 million, and they laughed at them and said, nah, that's never going to work. Boy, don't you wish they had that back, because you can't find a Blockbuster anymore, right? But how does that affect us in real estate? Well, since 2010, 100% of home shoppers go online to search for information on buying and selling. So the internet has changed everything, even for the real estate model, right? And I think we can agree timing is everything as it relates to technology. This little Mikey Dell, back in the early 80s, he was known as Little Mikey, out in Austin, Texas, and he pitched this idea to 4 of his buddies. And he said, hey, guys, let's come in here. Let's put this thing together. Let's start building computers on demand, on order, and turn this into a public company and become wealthy beyond our dreams. Well, 4 of them, he got them to buy into that. About 6 months into it, one of the guys said, dude, I've got a child. I've got a wife. I've got to get a job. I've got to start generating revenue. And Mikey said, dude, I get it. And this guy ended up leaving and going to IBM. The other 4 that were left are all billionaires now. And I think we could agree, if we could go back in time and invest in any of these companies, or better yet, if you were able to take and work for these companies in exchange for stock options, how many guys would do that now? Every one of us, right? Yep. You know that Microsoft built over 1 million millionaires? And I just seen Amazon today. Jeff Bezos is worth $100 billion now in Amazon. Well, when was the last time somebody invited you into that, into the garage, or into, Jeff Bezos started his parents' garage also. When was the last time that happened? And so we're going to talk about that today, and how you can take and be invited into the garage, if you will. Now, technology version 2, right? The internet came along and changed everything for us and how people started shopping, but it's now disrupting the real estate business again by creating cloud-based brokerages, which is what eXp is. We don't follow the brick and mortar pattern anymore, right? Where we have all this overhead, we have all this expense, we're paying royalties, we have all this expense that we have to pay, that it puts us in this adversarial position with the realtors. We're 100% cloud-based. And so there's 4 main things that this company has done to completely revolutionize the way real estate's being done. Number one is it's all done in the cloud. You don't go into an office anymore. You go into a cloud-based office. And I'm going to walk you through each one of these in detail. But these are the four things that eXp is doing that's completely throwing the real estate business on its end. They have revolutionary lead generation systems. It's agent owned. It's a company. It's a publicly traded stock owned by the agents, and they have an unparalleled revenue sharing program. So I'm going to break each one down in detail, right? But before I do that, let me give you a quick an overview of the history of eXp. It was started in 2009 by a gentleman named Glenn Sanford. He's one of the top 50 agents at Keller Williams. And what he was a tech geek that specialized in generating leads. I think over a 6-year period or 9-year period, I don't remember which, he generated over 600,000 leads online. And when the market crashed, he looked at the model that was out there and said, this is kind of crazy. I have all this overhead, and the question is why? And that's when he created eXp. In 2013, it became publicly traded. In 2014, he launched the agent ownership program. And at the end of 2016, we were actually in 41 states. We had over 2,000 agents. What that looks like, guys, is in 6 years, we've gone from 0 agents to 2,401 at the end of 2016. To give you some kind of context on that number, it took Keller Williams, who is the largest, fastest growing real estate company in history, prior to eXp, it took them 13 years to get to 1,000 agents. So for context, just understand that's how quickly it's growing. It took 6 years for eXp to get to 1,000 agents. It took 6 months after that to reach 2,000 agents. And it took 3 months after that to get to 3,000 agents. That's how fast we're growing. The question is why, guys? When you look at something like this model and go, well, is this sustainable? Is this profitable? Is this something I should look at? You have to ask yourself, why is it growing that quickly? But I think the more important question should be is, can you participate and profit from that growth? And by the time we're done today, I think you'll agree that the answer is yes, you could. Another thing to ask yourself is, why are teams like this joining eXp? We've got more than a dozen teams that do in excess of $70 million a year. Why did they join eXp? Why did Brent Gove, doing $100 million a year, or Marcy Willems write a check for $73,000 to buy her way out of RE/MAX? Why does a guy like Darren James, the #1 real estate agent in Louisiana, why are these people making those moves? By the time we're done today, guys, I think I'll understand that better. So let's talk about the first one, cloud-based real estate company. What does that look like? Well, here's what it looks like, guys. You can work in your shorts. You don't have a commute to an office. You don't sit in rush hour traffic. You don't waste your time talking to people in an office going, hey, how are you doing that? Pat, wasn't one of the biggest headaches you had when you worked in a regular office that people were always coming to you going, well, hey, Pat, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? And they ended up eating away at your time.
Yep. That was one of my, biggest concerns was, going into the office every day to figure out exactly, what agent was there. I would literally drive around the parking lot to see what cars were there to figure out if I was going to be, going in the office or not. So, I mean, it was just, that's a terrible feeling to have.
And last time I checked, folks, you don't walk into the office and another agent says, hey, Pat, by the way, you know what, we're thinking about listing. Would you list list our house? Or, we're thinking about buying a house. Could you be the agent who represented us? I don't think that's ever happened to anybody on this call ever in history, has it?
No.
The question to me is, then why do we need an office? And we don't. This is kind of what it does, guys. It allows for real-time interaction with top professionals around the world. If we want to have a meeting or I want to do a training class in the cloud, I can do that, right, Pat?
Right. Yep.
If I want to go in and ask a question of accounting about a check or things like that, I can go in there and talk to a real live human being, real time. Yep. I don't have to jump in my car and go talk to anybody. I don't have to schedule an appointment. I can just go in the cloud and do it.
Yep.
What it does for you guys, it allows you to do business anywhere you have access to the internet. Our transactions are paperless. There's sales and training meetings in there. You can get all the support you need in there. Plus, guess what? It allows us to go in there and create a collaborative community of like-minded people all over the country. But to me, guys, the most important things it does is it reduces expenses. If there's no need for a brick and mortar office, well, I don't have that $116,000 a month, which means it enables eXp to share revenue with its agents. I want you to remember that, share revenue with their agents. So that's what it looks like. Anything you can do, guys, in a regular office, you can do in the cloud, except for one thing. There's currently 55 staff members available for everything that you can possibly think of. So when you log into the cloud, this is what it looks like. You can go up to the help desk, go, hey, I need to talk to somebody in accounting. The truth is you can just go up in the upper left-hand corner and hit go to, but you literally are talking to a support staff person at a help desk. Here's where it's really the most important to me, guys. Ed Benson's on this call. A couple weeks ago, his computer crashed, a couple months ago, and he was trying to restore his computer. Instead of bringing it to a Real Geeks, who's spending hours and hours and hours of time trying to figure out how to do this on his own, Ed was able to log into the cloud, right, and be able to have somebody fix it for him.
That's correct.
Took over his computer and did that. And how much time did you have to spend on that, Ed?
Oh, shoot, 15, 20 minutes.
So here's the thing, guys. What are the odds that you're going to walk into your current office, your current company, and be able to take and have a tech support person fix your computer problems? When was the last time that happened? And that's what being on the cloud does for you, okay? You can get support at every level. There's 55 people at any time in there working. We use SkySlope and Zip Forms. All your transactions are paperless. Everything is done via email. You could be sitting on a beach as long as you have access to the cloud or SkySlope, you can do your transactions. There's no more keeping paper, no more doing any of that kind of stuff. It's all done online. Then every Sunday, there's an educational calendar that gets sent out. There's over 25 hours of live training every week on the cloud. It's on everything that you can possibly think of. But more importantly, guys, it's always recorded. So if you can't make it, no sweat. Number two is every month, all these people do training classes on the cloud. They're paid to do it. I'll get into that later. But wouldn't you like to learn how to list properties from Darren James, who's listing 30 to 40 properties a month, versus a broker who hasn't listed a house or maybe listed his friends a couple months ago? And at the end of the day, all these people get on and do classes, or Marcy Willems, or Brent Gove, or Scott and Tracy Lewis, or Bob Corcoran, the #1 real estate coach in the world, coaches the top 50 real estate agents in the world. Wouldn't you rather attend training classes from people like that than some broker hasn't made more than $100,000 in the last few years, right? So here's how I like to look at it. It's like having a real estate conference every week that you pay thousands of dollars to attend. You'd have to pay travel expenses, but it's done with eXp. It's free and it's in the cloud. That's the difference. And so all of us who are asking, well, hey, how do I learn? How do I take my business to the next level? I guarantee you, folks, those are the kind of people that can help take your business to the next level, and they're available in the cloud. And that's a big deal. Then if you do really need an office, you want to go meet somebody, you need to do some work, go hang out, do whatever, then we have a contract with Regis that any eXp agent can work in any office anywhere in the world. So if you want to go meet people, go have coffee, go in there and work, guys, I would tell you it's a much better place to work, because guess what? There's a lot of local business, small business owners in there that you can create those business relationships with, not sitting in office with other agents bugging you about how to do more business. It's a professional place if you want to go meet clients. Full disclosure, we hardly ever use it, right? I'll meet them at a Starbucks or a Paradise Bakery or things like that, but it's there and available if you need it or want it. And it costs nothing to do. So that's a quick background of what cloud-based looks like, okay? So revolutionary lead generation. Here's how I equate this, guys. Building your real estate business with the wrong tools is like building a house with a Fisher-Price tool set. And believe me, we've looked at every company. I know tools. I know the systems that they have. And at the end of the day, guys, there's really 4 platforms that every real estate agent should work with because, well, it's what the top teams work with because the tools are so powerful. It's Conversion, Commissions Inc., Real Geeks, or Boomtown. Those are the tools that allow you to take and do that. The downside to it is Conversion is $9.99 to start it up and $6,000 a year. Sync is about $1,600 a month and also $1,000. It's provided to all eXp agents for $50 a month. No startup fees, no nothing. Well, cool. What does that look like? Well, why? Let's ask this. Why are these websites so expensive? Well, they're more than just a website. It's more than IDX because most companies, let's be honest, have them. But of the top 10 real estate companies, 4 of the 10 do not even have lead capture on their IDX. I don't know how that would be a tool that you would claim is a powerful thing, but they don't have the ability to capture a lead. I'll just use conversion because I know that well. It is a website. It's an IDX. It's a CRM. You can do your pay-per-click through it. It's completely mobile optimized because 64% of all people shop the internet on a phone. But more importantly, what it does, guys, is it completely manages your business. It lets you know when new leads come in. It tells you what people you need to call and follow up on. It has an automated CRM. Not only is it automated, but it's intuitive. So whatever people are looking at, it can change the emails and the messages that go out. You can tell every time somebody's on your website. You can log in and you can see who's on your website at any time. You can see what houses they've looked at. If they star it, or if they looked at it more than 5 times, you're going to get an email notification. If they favorite it, you're going to get an email notification to let you know what's going on. It's completely intuitive and it manages your business. You log in every morning. It'll tell you how many new leads you have, how many calls to make. All the things that you need to manage a business are in there. It has follow-up systems in there. And one of the number one things I find with realtors, they don't have follow-up campaigns. In conversion, it's all in there. So Jeff and Amanda went from spending $24,000 a year. They're spending a couple $1,000s a month on lead generation, doing $175 transactions a year. Within 2 months, eliminated $24,000 in expense. Remember, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And that's indicative of that, right? Then they also have a system set up inside of Playster for customer reviews, how you automate that. I'm going to, Ed, that was you. It's how that's automated. Well, why are customer reviews important? Well, they're important because they can rank on Google, right? There are people going to Yelp looking for real estate agents. Those Yelp reviews show up on the first page of Google. And so this system is put in place to automate that process for you, right? Because Glenn knew it was important. You have the listing syndication. Those of you that are GP1 Pro members, not as big of a deal, but guess what? In a listing presentation, sounds fine to say that, right? You can actually use Make It Rain for Facebook advertising. It's not what Paul and I do. It's not what several of you on this call do. We have a program we actually teach how to do that. But if you don't want to learn how to do it, you can go there and somebody will do the work for you. Well, why is that a big deal? Well, this is from a few months ago now, but this is Michelle's leads for a couple days through Facebook. This isn't done through the Make It Rain program. This is what Paul and I did. What would your life be like if you had leads like that, right? I showed, if you got on here early, I showed you this weekend, Michelle's 19 leads. Darcy had 23, all from Facebook. If we don't have to worry about leads, guys, isn't our life a whole bunch better, right? Then we have tools that are available exclusively with our team, right? About how to dominate Google, where you can go and actually learn how to use Facebook the right way. Craigslist tools, some of the training and the open house systems that we have, right? Our goal would be for our team to be able to dominate Google like this, right? And then the other thing is, well, it's great to say, well, I'm going to spend money on generating leads, but what if it didn't have to come from my own pocket? So Thursday, I came up with a tremendous idea over the weekend on how we're going to take and make it accessible where you can actually take and go out and get all your advertising paid for by somebody else and do it in a completely RESPA compliant manner. What this agent did is a little bit of overkill, but what if you could get somebody else to pay for all your advertising so your lead generation didn't cost you a penny? Remember, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep, right? What if you had systems like this? This is literally the Facebook system, if you will, that Paul and I and Pat has and Ed Benson and Jeff Gardner. Jeff gets so many leads, he actually has to turn his off from time to time just because he gets so many leads. Right, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
So we've gone from a position of saying, hey, lead generation is the biggest problem most agents have, to say, oh, my God, I have so many leads, I have to turn it off. Wouldn't that be a great problem for everybody to have? And so at the end of the day, what if you had systems like that? This is actually from about 9 o'clock. There's 3 more leads that she got yesterday. This is all since Friday morning. I couldn't even fit them on the page. What if you could have leads like that, guys? That's why Glenn recognized lead generation was such a big thing. So here's the question. If it's always about the money, right? To me, it's about, At the end of the year, if you can make more money, put more money in the bank than you did last year, if you have that kind of training and mentorship, along with all these lead generation tools, Facebook strategies, listing tools, websites, you could dominate Google. You had a CRM and follow-up systems in place. Would you make more money? Because that becomes the important question, folks. Will you make more money? Everybody, when I sit down and talk to them, always wants to talk about splits or fees or all this other stuff. And at the end of the day, my number one question is, does any of that matter if you could put more money in the bank this year than you did last year? Jeff, if you keep going based on what you've done already in the first half of the year, how much more money will you put in the bank this year than last year?
We figure about $40,000 to $50,000.
40 to 50 grand more in the bank, guys. And the truth is, I guarantee it'll be more than that. He's being quite modest. You are already one of the top producers in your market last year, right?
Yes.
So it isn't like you just came out of nowhere. You were doing really well before. Now you're doing even better, right?
Yes.
So it's about the tools, the training, the systems, guys, that are in there. That's why I say lead generation is huge, right? So we talked about cloud. We talked about lead generation. Now let's talk about how is it that you own part of the company. I mean, how many of you guys on the call right now, raise your hand, put it in the chat box, actually own a piece of your company? You have an ownership stake in your company, meaning the company does well, you're going to do well.
Yeah, baby, I do.
That does. I don't know who's talking in the background, Pam, but it's not us. I don't hear any of that. So eXp is agent owned. Well, what does that look like, right? Well, it means agents literally own it. There's 6 different ways to earn stock at eXp. Your first transaction of the year, you get 75 shares. The second way is that every time you close a transaction, you can set aside 5% of your commissions where you can buy the stock at a 20% discount. So many of you on the call were at companies or are at companies where you have the 6% royalty that's going to pay the owners of the company or the owners of the franchise or the franchisors. And at the end of the day, somebody's making money, right? What if you could take the same amount of money and be able to purchase stock in your company at a 20% discount? When you cap, you get 250 shares. I'll go through that. When you refer an agent, you get 250 shares. Heck, you can buy the stock, which I would recommend. Then finally, if you become an icon agent, which is capping, meaning you do about $2.66 million in transactions. If you become an icon agent, you do 20 transactions after that, you're going to get all the $16,000 back in stock. That would be you, right, Pat?
Yep.
So we'll talk about his revenue and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, 6 different ways to own company, and it's publicly traded. Here's what you need to understand. It's the fastest growing real estate company in history. It is completely debt-free, has cash in the bank. What will happen in the future? I don't know. But I do know one thing. If you don't have any, you can't participate in it, right? So at the end of the day, the question really comes down is, should you own a piece of your company? Should you actually participate? If you're helping it grow, should you own a piece of it? In my opinion, you should. And at the end of the day, what's that mean for you right now, Pat? Like number of shares and maybe dollar amount?
Yeah, it's about, let's see, about 13,000 shares. And let's see, we're trading at, 351 right now. So
$40,000, call it?
45,000, in 16 months. So it's not bad.
$45,000 in stock in the last 16 months. So he owns 13,000 shares. My gosh, folks, if it goes up $1 a share in the next whatever, he just made $13,000. So when you first started with eXp, Pat, you were buying it at what?
62 cents a share.
So should you guys own a piece of that company?
Absolutely.
I should.
Yep.
So let's talk about revenue sharing. So we've done cloud-based, we've done lead generation, we've talked about how you can own stock in the company. Let's talk about revenue sharing. Probably a little bit more complicated, which is also why I say that. How many of you guys have a pension plan right now from your real estate business that looks like this?
16 months ago, that's what mine looked like.
Yep. Now here's the good news. Pat's 36 years old. For old guys like us, I'm 61. What's your current pension look like, right? The theory when we come into real estate is that we're going to make so much money that we put it away and we fund a retirement plan, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't really work out like that, right? But why does it have to be that way? Well, in the old days, guys, it did, but it doesn't anymore. To me, revenue sharing is like winning the lottery, right? I can do the work once and have revenue coming in. Now, to me, when Glenn Sanford sat down and looked at the Keller model, he just simply said, is there a way to do it better? If there is, I should find it. So what he did is he just said, hey, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to model the most successful real estate company in history. That is the ultimate compliment, guys. When somebody says, listen, I'm going to look at your business model, I'm going to make changes to it because it's so successful, there are 5 main differences between what Keller did and what he did. Number 1, there are higher splits. Number 2, there are no royalties. Number 3, it is lower caps. And I'll talk about that all in a minute. And we share revenue, not profits. That's a big thing to understand, guys. It's revenue, money off the top, not money that's left after the owner of that franchise, which they're not doing anything wrong, but every one of us need to take and maximize or minimize how much we pay in taxes. Well, that cuts into the profits that get shared. Revenue gets shared at eXp, not profit, and we own stock in the company. So let's talk about the fees and all that, right? First of all, the commission is an 80-20 split until you cap. Cap is $16,000 a year, so the most you're going to pay is $16,000. That's about $2.66 million in revenue, or I'm sorry, in sales, about $80,000. Once you earn that, then you flip to a different process, right? There's no 6% or 8% royalty. So when you look at an 80-20 cap, 80-20 split till you cap, no royalty, max you pay is $16,000. On every transaction, there's a $25 broker review fee. Somebody's got to keep us out of trouble. It's $30 for E&O, except in California, it's $45, I believe, but still caps at $500 a year. You just don't write a check in the beginning of the year. And once an agent caps, they go to 100% commission. They just go to a $250 fee for the next 20 after you cap. You get 3 personal transactions a year where you don't pay a cap or you don't pay a split. So if you want to buy and sell a house or buy and sell a house for your kids, whatever it is, you get 3 of those a year. So the most you're ever going to pay, guys, is $16,000. So when somebody says, I'm on $100,000, I'm on 100% commission. The answer to that is, no, you're not. You still pay some fee for doing business where you're at, okay? So at the end of the day, whatever that fee is, the max you're going to pay is $16,000. So there's a $99 startup one-time fee. It includes 1,000 cards and folders, that kind of stuff. The only monthly fee is your technology fee, but it includes the cost of Expressway and some other things. But most importantly, guys, it's conversion or commissions inc. Period. So that's what I just tell everybody. That's what it's for. You can pay $500 to $1,600 a month for it, or you can pay $50 a month and have the Cadillacs of the tools. And then one time a year, taken out of your first transactions, a $420 a year education, a university fee. Guys, it pays for the cost of the cloud. That's really what it's for. But remember, when you do your first transaction, they're also going to hand you 75 shares of stock, which currently would be worth about somewhere around $350, $400. That's why they do that. But those are all the fees, all the costs, everything. So let's look at how do we develop revenue share out of this. Just understand, guys, if you are a Keller Williams agent on here, it works exactly the same as Keller Williams, except for one main thing. We share revenue, not profit. If you will help expand the company, meaning tell another agent that, hey, this is a great company you should look at, invite them to a webinar like this. If they join the company, you would get paid 3.5% of their commission or $2,800 a year, assuming they cap. So I'm going to always use numbers where people cap. Doesn't mean they have to. That money is paid every month when a transaction closes. So it's not like it's stored up till the end of the year. On the 22nd of every month, we have a party, right, Pat?
That's right.
Because they deposit it right in your bank account.
Yep.
And then if you do that and they go out and help somebody talk to an agent, you're going to get paid an override on that and so on. So I'm going to actually show you a live set of people and so help you understand it because it gets a little complicated. Pat is the one who talked to Michelle about joining eXp. When she did, Michelle went out and talked to Don. Don went out and told Denise, this is something you should look at. So let's watch how the money works in this scenario. We assume Denise is going to cap. She's going to do $2.66 million because with all the tools, trainings, and systems that you have available, it's pretty hard not to do that. Is that a fair statement, Pat?
That's right.
You have to try not to do business, to be honest.
That's right.
So Denise does her $16,000 cap. What's that look like? Well, means Don got paid $2,800 from Denise's cap. Don also caps, right? Does his $2.66 million, so he pays $16,000 to eXp. Well, he did get $2,800 from Denise, so technically he paid $13,000 too, right? Then, well, Michelle got paid $3,200 from Denise's cap and $2,800 from Don's cap, and we'll work on the assumption Michelle caps, and she's paid $16,000 a year. Well, she does pay the 16, but she also got paid $6,000 because she simply invited Don and Denise into the company, really just doing it for Don. So she made $6,000 that year. We always joke it's good to be Pat.
That's
because
right.
Pat paid $2,000 from Denise's cap, $3,200 from Don's cap, $2,800 from Michelle's cap.
Woohoo!
Meaning he made $8,000 a year because he simply talked to Michelle. That's leverage, guys.
That's right.
So what does that really look like? Because, well, can you only talk to one person, Pat? I mean, like, is that all you get paid on? Is it like if you just talk to Michelle, that's it?
Nope, not at all.
So I'm going to show you what Pat's monthly revenue share has been since he started to give you an idea. In February of 2016, he got paid $68 that month. Fast forward to May of this year, he got paid $15,900. Last time I checked, Pat, that would be like paying for your whole cap
In 1 month.
in 1 month.
Yep. Beautiful business model.
He's been paid $54,000 so far this year in override. So he's going to pay a $16,000 cap. Now he's an Icon agent, so he'll get that $16,000 back in stock. So, gosh, can we agree, guys? It's good to be Pat.
Yes.
It is.
And growing.
And growing. So let's just look at an example, right? Let's not get crazy. Let's not look at, do this in a year, 2 years, any of that. Let's just say over the next 5 years. Is it reasonable to think that you could talk to 2 people, just 2, that would say, you know what? I could get a pay raise. You mean I'm on a 70-30 split? I'm on a 60-40, 50-50, whatever it is, that we could find 2 people a year. Well, here's what that would look like, guys. In 5 years, you would have 10 people that you brought aboard. Let's assume they cap, right? And those 5 people, or those 10 people, we went out and taught them to do exactly the same thing. In 5 years from now, you'd be sitting on a $348,000 a year coming in. Will it work exactly that way? No. But is that a reasonable thought? I mean, Pat, to run into 2 people a year, guys, I can trip into 2 people a year.
That's right. That's right. Very easy. Very easy.
I mean, shoot, we did what? I did 7 last month.
Right.
Should be 4 this month. So let's just be conservative, guys. $348,000 a year. Could we agree that would change your life?
Absolutely.
Say change it for anybody.
Yep.
Right? Especially when the average real estate agent's making $38,000 a year. So let's not get crazy. Let's just do it that way, right? So 2 questions. Number 1, will it work this way? Of course not. Will everybody cap? Of course not. Will everybody take and talk to another agent and they'll join? No. But mathematically it does, right? But here's the big question. Will it work for you? Well, here would be my answer to it. Number 1, it only works if you show up. Because you don't have this available at whatever company you're on. I don't care who, where you're at. You do not have stock ownership. You do not have revenue share. You do not have access to these tools. Excuse me. You don't have access to these systems, the training, the mentoring. Guys, it only works if you show up. And the example that I use is in 2004, Mark Zuckerberg invited 5 people to his Harvard dorm room. 2 showed up. Dustin Moskovitz is worth $6.5 billion. Eduardo Severon is worth $3.4 billion. You think every day of their life, those 3 people who didn't show up don't get out of bed to go to work and kick themselves in the butt going, oh my God, was that date really that important? Did I really need to study that night? Or any of those things. Guys, it only works if you show up, right? So here's the critical question. What's your next step? Well, at the end of this call, I would encourage you to get with the person that invited you. If you have questions, please ask them with those. If not, I'm more than happy to schedule a 3-way call to answer those questions for you, because we want you to make great decisions, folks. What I would tell you is do the best thing for your family. Making a company switch is not always easy. I get that. But if it's lucrative and it's profitable, then I would ask you to consider it. And if you do, then get all the facts and figures that you need to be able to make a good decision, right? Because here's the thing, guys. Now you've been invited to the dorm, right, to the garage. The question is, will you show up? And so there's some different places you can go and get more information. Just our Facebook page, exprealty.com, expcloud.com. You can also Google, and I'm going to do this with you now. There's a revenue share calculator that'll help you do what you think you might be able to take and introduce. So I'm going to actually split from this right now, and I want to go into that and just show you what that looks like. So just in case you want to see, guys, there's all those leads from the weekend right there. Pretty sweet, huh?
Love it.
So let's do that. So let's go here. Let's do, let's find somebody we haven't done this with before. That'd be cheating. Julio, I just unmuted you. I don't know if you have a microphone or not. Do you? Julio? Nope. Norm, how about you? Norm, you do.
Yeah, I got one.
All right. So what do you think the average number of properties sold a year per year per agent is in your market? What do you think the average one does?
Oh, the average, 10?
10?
Might be high. 8. Let's go
Yeah,
with
I
8.
was gonna say, how about if we do like 5?
Okay, do 5.
Let's do half of that. And then what's your average price of property sold?
I'll say about 180.
180. You guys do less than 3% commissions there?
For buyer's agent, 2.7.
All right. And is it reasonable to think, let's just think that 5-year period, is it reasonable to think that over the next 5 years, and I know you're an old guy like me, so you might have it elevated, but let's just use 5 years. Do you think you could find 5 agents a year that would want to get a pay raise and make more money?
Yes.
So we got 25. And let's make the assumption that the agents that they bring aboard would also like just find 1 a year, right? So we're not going to like go crazy here. I want to be as conservative as I possibly can. That level of agents, all we do is we help them find 1 agent a year who joins eXp. Then the next group, that group, we simply help them. And let's say they could only find like an agent every year and a half. And heck, an agent, every 2 years? And shoot, 1 over the next 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Is that a reasonably conservative model of what could be possible in your market?
I think it's very, very, very conservative.
So what do you think that number is going to be?
Well, I did this once before, but I don't know it's going to be a good number. I can tell you that for sure. Here we go.
Wow.
Folks, in the next 5 years, what are the odds that you're going to be able to put away enough money that would generate that income for you every year, right? This is an annual payout. Now, will it work exactly this way? No, right? These 25 out of that, I don't know, you might find some who don't recruit any, but 1 or 2 of these goes out and recruits 25, just kind of how it works. This is just average.
Hey, Bob, and let's do this. Remove the agents on the 6th level and the 5th level. Let's just say we did that in 5 years.
Okay. Because I want to be as conservative as possible.
Yep. I could still survive.
Guys, if it was like half of that would be incredible, right?
Right.
I mean, if it was a quarter of that, it would be incredible. That's what, 125, 130, something like that, 140. That would be incredible.
Right.
The question is, in your current environment, do you have the ability to do that? And if the answer is no, then I would encourage you to consider talking to us a little further. Make the best decision for you and your family, no question about it, guys. But what are the odds that you can do that in your existing real estate business? And if you're older than, say, 35 and been doing this for 10 years or more, I would ask you, how have you done in those last 10 years? And the answer that I get for almost every agent that I talk to, there's only a handful that have been able to take in, they got smart. They started buying rental real estate when they were younger. Average real estate agent makes $38,000 a year, guys. We can do that by simply taking and talking to another agent, say, hey, here's a great company you should look at. You do it anyway. I mean, Pat used to do it for your boutique brokerage, right?
Right. Yep.
You were their largest recruiter. They didn't pay. They didn't even think of recruiting. You were just out there and like, cool, because it's wonderful. You should check it out.
That's right. Yep. I got Starbucks gift cards.
Cool.
Yep. Drank a lot of coffee.
This, guys, is why eXp is growing so fast. This is why people like Marcy Willems and Darren James close up their own company. Marcy Willems wrote a check for $73,000 to RE/MAX to buy out of her franchise agreement. Why are people doing that? This is why. Owning a piece of the company is why. Having tools that they can take and give their agents where they can go out and do more business is why. And because I don't have to drive to an office and I don't have to waste time, guess what? I have more time to spend on following up with my leads, generating more leads, doing the things that I need to make more business. So with that, what questions can I answer for you guys? And then if you want, feel free to get with the person who invited you. Happy to do a three-way call. Excuse me. Whether it's me, whether it's Pat, whether it's anybody, we'll take and help get you all the information, answer your questions so that you can make a good decision. What we think is irrelevant. It's what you think. So what questions do you guys have? You can ask them here. I'll answer them here. I'll ask them, answer them in private. We can schedule a call, no problem. Dude, Pat, that was such a sterling presentation that nobody's got questions.
Yeah, guys. Hey, if you have questions, let us know. I'm here to help as well, too. And like I said, it's a beautiful business model. You're probably wondering why I'm so eager to help everybody out is because, y'all's success is all of our success. If Bob and Michelle Mangold are successful, then, I'm successful. So, it's a beautiful, beautiful business model. And, we want everybody to be successful. Even if you're not in my direct revenue share organization, we will still help everybody out that is wanting to, join and consider joining eXp because you know what, if you guys are successful, then the stock will go up. And you know what, we all own a lot of stock. And so we'll benefit either way, either through stock ownership or through revenue share.
Yeah, I do a coaching call for all of my group on Tuesday afternoon at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I have other people on there that are not in my revenue share group that I help. Well, why would I do that? Because, well, we have stock in the company.
Yep.
That's why.
Hey, Bob, just wanted to ask if Tony Burke was on the line.
Tony Burke is not. Hang on.
Would be Anthony Burke?
He's not.
He missed a call. Okay.
Here's the good news. This is going to be recorded so that you'll be able to send it out. So call as we speak. So, all right, guys, it doesn't look like we have any questions. If you do, please get with the person that invited you. We do have quite a few people that have been invited on here. Please get with them. You can schedule a call with me or with Pat so that we can answer your questions and then make a great decision. But, as Pat and I like to say, listen, eXp is going to continue to grow. We would love to have you aboard. I can tell you it's changing your agents' lives, faster than you can possibly imagine. We would love to have you on board. So get the information you need, and then let's move forward from there. So have a great day. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Great job. Thanks, Bob.
Bye-bye.